Hi everybody, how you guys doing? Aloha. How's everybody in Hawaii? We've had a lot of rain here in Japan the last couple days, so my heart goes out to a lot of people in Kyushu that have had really bad flooding. So we're thinking about you. And when I look at the weather map around the world, there are lightning marks everywhere, even around Hawaii. So praying for everybody's safety in these very uncertain times. So today, again, I have a new Hawaii hat. See that? Isn't that cool? I found it in Kamakura. So today I'll tell you a story about connections I found between Japanese and English, or like difficulties I had in Japan. As you can tell, these stories will start to evolve to try to tell you all these funny stories. I mean, I've been here for 32 years, and I can't even start to tell you how many times and how many different things have happened to me. Anyway, funny stuff. You know, because when you're living overseas, you just gotta find the interesting things. If you want to be sad all the time, and if you want to be like critical all the time, that's also easy. But I don't want to be like that. So I think that's a lot to do with my Hawaii background, growing up in this wonderful place where difference is respected, and we just have the aloha, you know? So anyway, when I first came to Japan, I think I was telling you guys the other day that I thought Japanese people are so, you know, polite, calling Mount Fuji Mr. Fuji, right? Because Fuji's sun, right? If you haven't watched that, please watch it. Other things that I had so much trouble with were like words in Japanese that were originally from a different language, okay? So here's an example. So in Japanese, there's these words in Katakana, okay? Katakana is gairaigo, which means words that originated from another language. And one of those words that I always, even now, after 32 years, I have a lot of trouble with. Here is a picture of it. Can you guys read that? It says, it's probably backwards, but it says sturo, and I think you can see what it is. Straw, right? So when I'm at like a cafe, or whenever I was at a cafe, or even now when I'm at a cafe, you know, we're not supposed to use straws anymore, so I carry mine around. I have my own straw, so I don't have to say this anymore. But sometimes you have to say it, right? I would say stora, right? Because I thought if I said, so my original strategy was just say whatever I want to say and just try to say it sounding like katakana. And sometimes that would get through. Like escalator is escaleta, or elevator is eleveta, right? So I realized that if you try to say everything with katakana sounding, sometimes it works. So I was always thinking like straw must be stora, right? No, that never communicated, never. So finally I learned that you have to say sturo. I still can't even say sturo. So there's a lot of, oh, and then you know the thing that you stir your coffee with? That's actually called a madora. Like, is that English? I don't think so. I think that's French. I think that comes from French. And what I found out as I went along is that there's a lot of Japanese words that are foreign words, like gairaigo, right? But they're not coming from English. The words are coming from like French or German. But so the way that I thought that if I say it in katakana, it might work, you know? Escalator, escaleta. Elevator, eleveta, right? If I say it in katakana, it might work. So a lot of my Japanese colleagues thought the same thing, that if they say it sounding like English to me, that it'll communicate even if it's in Japanese. Now, that works if it's the escaleta kind of word, right? If it's escaleta and somebody says escaleta and I don't get it, and then they say escalera, like that, trying to make it sound like English, you know, I might catch that one. But then if the original word that the person is trying to tell me is not from English, it doesn't work. So for instance, there's a word in Japanese called arubaito. Arubaito is part-time job, but arubaito is Arbeit from German, okay? So when I first came and I was working at Recruit, which is a whole company devoted to like jobs and job search and things like that, they were always telling me, yeah, アルバイトはね, we have to call アルバイト、アルバイトを呼ばないといけない. We have to call アルバイト, they would say. And I'd be like, I didn't really speak Japanese very well. I didn't understand Japanese very well, but definitely I did not understand what arubaito was, but it sounded like a really important word. So I would be like, arubaito? And they'd be like, arubaito, arubaito, arbeit, arubaito, arubaito, like that. And trying to use the English pronunciation of the word, assuming that somehow that's going to communicate to me. No, it didn't. So finally I went to my dictionary and I figured out, you look under arubaito, and when you're looking in the Japanese to English, finally it'll say arubaito, part-time job. But then only later on I found out the original one is German. Anyway, so all these really funny things happen when you try to learn Japanese, because one of the most interesting things about Japanese is that you have 4 different writing systems, right? So everybody can write, well, not everybody can, but basically the writing system that you use is Roman letters, kanji, which are Chinese characters, katakana, which is the gaidai-go, the outside words in a katakana script, or hiragana, which is, I think it's originally Japanese. So it's very challenging to your brain muscles to try to learn these things, and along the way, so many funny things can happen. So since the Jay Jarman stories are so popular, I started out my story with storo, right? Straw, right? My dad used to do a funny trick with people based on straws, okay? For some reason, I totally inherited it, so I'm not gonna, blame him for this at all. But for some reason, he liked to do stuff that would gross people out, okay? And, oftentimes the grossing people out thing had to do with eating times. So I remember many funny memories in my life. And, once he did it once or twice, basically to us, I knew it was coming whenever we ate with other people. And he was like a very social person. He is still very much a social person, loves to eat with people, loves to tell jokes, loves to talk long time, oshaberi in Japanese and talk story in pidgin English. Anyway, he's that kind of guy. And I would love to be just, in awe of him when he's talking and telling his stories. And so then when somebody, it's getting back to the storo topic, the straw. So when we were at like Zippy's or somewhere and we get a straw, which you don't get anymore, but used to be, and probably recently, I think everybody will remember, straws were wrapped in those white, very thin papers. So my dad, he's quietly, while we're having our dinner, just, sitting there with his hand under the table, crunching down the paper around the straw. Okay? And I'm going to try to do it, and I'm trying to do it with actually paper from a waribashi, which is chopsticks. So it's probably not going to work. But anyway, so he would be like, just talking regular, and then when somebody else is talking, you're noticing he's doing something with his hands on the table, and after a while I got to figure out what it was. And so then, he'd be like, just looking around, looking back like this, like that, yeah? Look back. I wonder if you guys can see, but he'd look back like this, do this, and then he'd turn back around like this, and he'd go, oh, I feel a sneeze coming. Choo! And he would pull that really long, that wasn't very good, but he would pull that really long piece of straw paper out of his nose. And first of all, I guess the first reaction you had to that is, ew, right? And then everybody would just laugh, and it was so good-humored. And I don't know where he got that, but he would, think of these funny things to do and make a meal really fun. And he'd always say, you want to hear my new joke? You want to hear my new joke? I bet you guys remember, and I'm sure he even does it now. So that's another Jay Jarman story. You can copy it if you can find a straw with paper around it. The moral of that story is, meal times are fun. I think that a lot of us, if we're not eating out, or even when we're eating at home and stuff, we've tended to lose that family gathering, you know, eating together kind of thing. Like I'm also guilty of it with my kids, is that sometimes we would watch TV while we're eating and things like that. When I was little, the TV was in the other room. You know, it wasn't even nearby. There was not even a thought of watching TV during dinner. And one of the best things that my dad taught me is, you know, going out to eat with people, having fun, laughing, staying there a long time, and just, you know, meeting face to face. And now with the COVID-19 thing, we can't really gather in big groups anymore. So isn't it a good chance to go with one or two friends, go to Zippy's or something, get a booth seat, sit away from other people, maybe when you're not eating, wear the mask or whatever you want to do, but getting together in small groups is really fun, and let's keep doing that, and let's keep making people laugh. Okay, bye-bye, aloha, plenty more of these to come, bye-bye.